becoming more consistent with myself. Becoming more consistent with myself. Wanting to bring my desires into fruition. And having the thoughts and the ideas that I know who I am about myself. Seeing that on the outside, hence the term or the phrase coming into fruition. So with that being said, today's video is, I'm going to predominantly just speak about who you need to become, or who a person needs to become, or what to work on before you come into struggling. And a lot of times that information can be translated into so many other aspects because it's mainly self-development. And I also wanted to couple that with me introducing myself to, or reintroducing myself to my channel, or to the viewers, to you guys. I don't even want to call you guys viewers. I don't even want to call you guys, to the people. I don't know. But anywho, to those that literally are on the road to self-development. So, as I stated, my name is Shanice Turner. I hail from Michigan, predominantly the Detroit area of Michigan. And my career path, I am a follower of Christ one. Let me say that first before I start getting into titles of what I did career-wise, anything else, because first things first, anything that is about me that I believe is important is that I am a follower of Christ first. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But a righteous man falls 7 times and he gets back up. So I keep getting back up and I keep choosing Christ and keep choosing to love myself and to love people. Currently, right now, I'm on my way to California. I'm in Arizona, so if you see me on the road, I'm in traffic. So traffic is picked up, so I just got to keep focused. But anywho, so I am a follower of Christ. I was saved. I got saved when I was 15. I didn't have a large family base where everyone believed, but my mother was a believer. My father was a believer, but he's passed on a few years ago. But he was a bit double in what he believed. He believed in Christ. He always told me Christ is, he said, it's good that you believe in Christ, Shanice. Jesus is real. Jesus is real. But he would also tell me psychics are real. And he would also tell me about, esoteric things and duality and certain type of Masonic things. So I had to, as I got older, come to understanding that life and doctrine are very, very important. And your agreement in the spiritual realm are very, very important in your calling, in the spiritual, and how that looks here in the physical. Your agreement, what you agree to, is very, very important about yourself. Anywho, that's another video for another time. But career-wise, what I basically did was I worked for mortgage companies back in Michigan. I always had a love for real estate, and when I lived in Texas, I had my real estate license, but didn't quite make a whole lot of money, mainly because I am introverted and I had a fear of speaking to people. I had a fear of quote-unquote selling or convincing others. I didn't quite grasp the understanding of that. But yet, I still just loved real estate. I loved being around real estate. I did some open houses and networked and did all that stuff, but it didn't really go as far as I wanted it to go. So, fast forward, I moved back home to Michigan as my father was, I got the call my father was not doing too well, and it was just a time to come back home. So that was around January 2020, and I went on ahead and let my license lapse in Texas, my real estate license lapse in Texas, but I never forgot that knowledge. You never forget your knowledge. I always applied that knowledge towards something else, and then just kind of grew my knowledge to go into investing. So hold that thought, keep that thought. But I then started working within mortgage. Fast forward, while I'm working in mortgage, I created a small business doing loan signing work as a notary signing agent. So I obtained this knowledge, and I'm doing notary work. I also did wills, power of attorneys, I-9s, little stuff like that. And you can make pretty decent money. But I felt like career-wise, it was always an issue of having the time to be able to split myself up from a full-time job, working in a full-time office job, to trying to run the part-time business, where a lot of that business was done during the week. So I had to come to the point where I'm like, look, this is not working for me. This is not working for me. So when I was working in mortgage, the role that I had at that time was auditing mortgage files, where I was recertifying borrowers' loans to make sure that their income was their actual income, that there wasn't any type of fraud, and making sure that what they had in their bank accounts at the time of them closing on the loan was that actual balance, and that the statements were valid and things of that nature. So we audited those files, and if we came across something that was fishy, or you knew it was legit fraud, we sent it over to our fraud investigation unit, and they would basically go through their process to go to the next level with that. So I basically audited mortgage files. So that kind of pivots me going into trucking. Upon the financial issues that I was kind of having, and trying to work a full-time job and doing a part-time business, and was also doing other side hustles and things of that nature, paying bills, I'm looking at the mortgage documents, and I'm noticing that a lot of the borrowers, that their income was very consistent, and their income was very straightforward. Truckers. It was truckers. They didn't have a lot of they didn't have a lot of debts. There wasn't a lot of, I don't know how to describe it, but it was very straightforward. So I did some research, and I just thought to myself about the industry of trucking, period. And I said, you know what? They're on the road. Like, they're able to see, they're in the elements. They're in the elements. There's some pros and cons to that, especially if you're a feminine woman like myself. I'm like, man, I'm going to be in the elements. I'm going to be, like, outside. Like, as an introvert, I'm like, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be out there in the elements. Like, do I want to do that? And I thought to myself, like, man, I could smell fresh air. Right now. I could smell fresh air while I'm working, instead of being in the office for 8 to 10 hours a day and only smelling fresh air for 30 minutes to an hour of the day until I got off of work. I already knew from that point, and then my mother had still lived in Texas. So while I was still living in Michigan, I thought to myself, like, oh man, I could see my mom, I could visit my mom more often if I was in trucking and I did, OTR work. I'm an OTR driver. Well, I guess maybe I should state that, because I don't think I stated that. OTR truck driver, and I have my hazmat, tankers, passengers, and school bus endorsements. Majority of the time I haul, I do dry van. I previously did reefer, not doing that. And I got my CDL and I trained on flatbed. Not doing flatbed. More power to any person doing flatbed. And you definitely got my respects if you are a woman and you're doing flatbed. When I say I trained on flatbed, meaning I went to rail transport, did their 3-week CDL program, get your CDL program, and the first, or I think it was 2 days after you actually got your CDL and it's validated through the state, you then have load securement training. It was 2 days of load securement training. The very first day of load securement training, I knew flatbed was not for me. The trainers, they agreed. I agreed. And they said, yeah, I think dry van or reefer would probably be a better division for you. And I said, I am so happy we have come to this understanding. So, mainly was, when you're getting into trucking, especially being a woman, and especially coming from an industry where you're not doing laborious work, laborious work, you're used to working in an office, you're used to either working like maybe being a nail tech or, and you're about to do something that is going to exert a little bit more energy. You don't want to choose something that is going to be so visible to the point where you're about to, at the end of your day, you're crying when you're going to sleep and you're now hating what you just got into. I did not want to do that. I wanted to enjoy trucking. So fast forward. So they agreed that, it was best for me to go into dry van or reefer. I went to Stevens Transport and worked with them, and it was a good experience. I had eventually became a lease operator for a little bit with them and had a great experience. But I know for sure one thing: when you're doing trucking, when you're a driver, the money has to be worth the sacrifice. And I'm not saying that the money at Stevens is not going to be suitable for somebody coming into the industry, because Stevens has pretty decent pay for new truck drivers coming into the industry. But anywho, this is not about different trucking companies and what they pay and things of that nature. So now I pull hazmat. I'm not going to tell the company I work for, but I pull hazmat loads. Every now and then we have something that's non-hazmat, but majority of the time it's a hazmat load, dry van, and working over the road. So the person that I had to become in order to do this role, first things first, I knew I needed to make sure that my emotions was under control. And as a follower of Christ, these are things that we always work on anyway, or as your life is developing in Christ, the Holy Spirit is developing godliness within you. The Holy Spirit is developing righteousness within you. And you're reading your word. These are things that you're reading out of your heart and being overly emotional. Fear, doubt, worry. These are the things that I was already, even as a teenager, God was developing within me to just trust Him and to be at peace, to be brave, to be content, and things of that nature, to have joy within Him. So you can't be overly emotional. And I say that because one thing's for sure, in trucking, it may look like one way, but if you allow your emotions to dictate the situation, you can really blow it out of proportion. And in addition, there could be some certain situations where you can come across, or have interactions with individuals, and you don't know who that person is. You think you may be the sharpest tool in the shed, but you don't know that that the next one next to you is really about that life. So you just have to, and I'm not saying that like you have to be on edge about people, because that's one thing I'm not on edge about people. But you have to make sure that you're not the provoker in the situation, that you're not the stressor in the environment, in the room, or in the truck stop, so to speak. So and as another example, or you may find yourself in a situation where you go down a road, the GPS sends you in a different direction, or you go down a road, you miss your turn, and you turn right when you should have turned left. Now you're on a road where it's tighter than you are comfortable with, and you don't see a place to turn around a 53-foot trailer, or a total of 70 something feet, because you have a 53-foot trailer. You can't turn. They don't like you turning around in church parking lots. They don't like you turning around in schools, and those are two. Sometimes there are exceptions. If you call the police and they basically give you authorization to turn around there, then you can. But typically, don't use those areas to turn around on your own. So what do? Do you just say, oh my gosh, this is just so irritating, I'm just done with trucking, like, man, I just feel stupid? Do you downgrade yourself for not paying attention or whatever no, you just say, okay, this is the situation I'm in right now, and these are things that I tell myself. I said, okay, this is the situation I'm in right now. I got to get myself out of this situation. And then you need to instantly you revert back to your training. If you went to a place, you went to a school, and that you believe that they taught you well, stand on that training. Go back to that training. What did they tell you to do? And secondly, as far as when it comes to managing your emotions, there are going to be other people that are frustrated at you just because you are bigger than them. There are going to be pickup trucks, economy cars, smart cars. All the four-wheelers are automatically going to feel irritated that you are just there. I feel that. Whenever you're in a situation and you have your four-way flashers on, they're like, why are you here? I literally just feel that that's their energy. Like, why are you here? Despite the fact that you're like, carrying 53 feet of goods and products that they requested, they don't want you in their space. They want you just in and out, coming through, but not to stay. So, if you're in that situation where you're on a residential road, you shouldn't be, and you don't know how to turn around, you have to manage your emotions. You cannot let the frustrations of other people rush you to make you make more mistakes, and you have to revert to your training. So you have to make sure that you stay calm. In addition to that, you also have to just know that other people, especially when it comes to four-wheelers, other people, speaking of four-wheelers, they don't know your job. They don't know. They literally have no concept of what a semi-truck driver entails. The only thing that they possibly do know is that they make wide turns, and that they hit hard. They hit hard and they make wide turns. Unless they either had like a father, or a mother, or a parent or uncle, somebody in the family that was a truck driver and they rode with them over the road before. But even then, you still don't know until you're actually in the industry yourself. So I say that to say you have to look at them. Your perspective of them must change. So before you get your CDL, while you're working on your permit, when you're driving your own car, to help you not have, if somebody has road rage, to help you not have road rage, start looking at other people like they are 16-year-old girls learning how to drive for the very first time, and they just don't know what to do. My trainer told me that. And instantly when he told me that, it's almost like I had like okay, all right, let me have some patience. Let me show them grace. Let me show them some grace because they just don't know. So what I did before I got my CDL, but I knew I did like a year and a half of research. I did like a year and a half of research of the industry before I actually got my CDL. And the advice I'm telling you is exactly what I did when in my personal car to stop myself from having road rage. I stopped using finger language. I stopped using finger language. I stopped getting frustrated, and I put a cross on my dashboard to remind me of who I am inside and who I really work for, or who I really live for every day. So when certain irritating or frustrating situations arise, I would instantly have a reminder to react in the spirit and not in the flesh. Now, if you're not a believer, you choose what you want to do. But for those that are believers, that helped. That really helped. Secondly, I also, whenever I had a situation where it was with a person, and they looking at you, you looking at them, or they looking at you, and instead of getting an attitude, blow them a kiss. Blow them a kiss. Or just put it on and just say, I'm sorry, or just blow them a kiss. I had a situation where a guy was literally trying to engage me in what is it called? Road rage. Was trying to engage me in road rage, and I just kept blowing him kisses. And I love you, and I was telling him I love you in my head and in my heart. I'm like, I love you. He just drove off. I'm quite sure he was mad, he was confused. But how you gonna fight with somebody who's basically blowing you kisses and saying I love you? You can't. You cannot. A lot of what happens on the road, it's in order for you to come back home safely, it needs to be offense instead of defense. And if a lot of people tell you, oh, well, trucking, it's good to be a defensive driver. It's not at all. Not at all. In order to be safe and not have any type of accidents in your record, I have no accidents on my record, my trucking record. And even on my personal driving record, I have maybe one or two accidents I've ever had in my life. And those weren't situations where I lost control of the vehicle, I was aggressive driving or anything like that. The weather was wet, dark, something like that, or somebody hit me in the back or whatever. So those things need to be in place. Your attitude, your perspective of other people, check within yourself before you come out on the road, before you start driving. And I would also say prepare. Like, start looking at preparation. Like, what do you actually need to have in order for you to drive the semi-truck? A lot of people, you know, of course, you're going to have to inform your family if you have children and you have your husband, or, you know, their schooling. Trucking is not a 9-to-5 job. Not a 9-to-5 job. It ain't no 6 to 2. It ain't no 10 to 7. It ain't no 11 to 8 or whatever, 11 to 9. It dang for sure can feel all freaking day. It can feel like it's all day, every day, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, because you have some truckers who literally, they will run and they will work for 3 months straight at a time, 4 months straight at a time. And some of these things I also wanted to, start talking about trucking, getting on YouTube, talking about trucking, because before I even got into it, before I started doing my research, truck driver issues were not on my radar. Like, I didn't even think about what truck drivers go through, because when I went to Walmart, or when I went to Target, or whenever I needed to go to, I don't go to Target, I'm just thinking about places that people go. Whenever I went to the store, what I needed was on the shelf. I knew a truck brought it. I didn't care about, I wouldn't say so much that I didn't care. It just wasn't on my radar for me to care. But there are real life issues and real life situations of things that people go through when it comes to this industry. And a lot of it is totally unseen, unfelt, unnoticed. And honestly, if it was occurring to a lot more women, there would have been change in the industry a long time ago. Long time ago. So if you have a brother or a cousin, whatever family member, a sister, or aunt, a grandma that is in the industry, show them some love. Show them some love, because everything that you have within your home, everything that you have on your body, everything down to even your car, everything that you touch and own comes on a semi-truck, or is being hauled on a chassis that a driver is carrying. It's their responsibility. Regardless whether if it comes on a plane, if it's flown from a plane to the airport, a semi-truck has to go to the airport, get loaded, and take it to the customer, take it to the place for you to buy it, the store. If it comes on a train, the truck driver goes to the train yard to get loaded, to get the container, to take the container to a store. It doesn't matter. Everything you own, everything you touch, everything you consume as a consumer, a truck driver is in the loop, is involved. So I would say, had a little moment where I derailed, but when it comes to driving, you have to be prepared. Let your family know that this is not a 9-to-5 job. It's not a 9-to-5 job. They're going to ask you, oh, so you've been on the road now for 2 weeks. When you coming home? Shoot, you may want to run off your recaps. I'm not coming home right now. I'm going to run off my recaps. What? They got you working like a Hebrew slave. Hey, either you got to go to meet, or you just may not be ready to come home. Or you just may want to give yourself a little bit more time to understand what's going on the road. Thank God traffic cleared. So, prepare your family. Prepare your own mind. Things are not going to go smoothly every day. Road conditions are not always going to be conducive. You have to be the rock in the situation and whatever you're going through. And then in some situations, you got to be the reed. You got to be able to bend a little bit. And the more that you grow, this will definitely help you grow as a person. Because there are certain situations that I've gone through and been through where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been through that, I've been through this. And I'll lay back there in the bed and I'll just cry. And I'll just cry because I'm like, man, I am growing. I didn't think I would grow like this. And it would be a painful situation. Or it'll be a painful, like, man, I went through that. But it was almost like joy on the other side. Like, I gained so much confidence within myself to know that it didn't break me. You know? It didn't break me. None of the things that go along out here are going to absolutely break you. Unless you just don't come back home. So anyone that's out here, you're looking to get into truck driving or be get into truck driving, you're going to grow so much as a person, as an individual. And hopefully, as your pockets grow, your character grows. Because I'll say one thing too, another thing. What good is it if you have more money but your character is ish? What good is that? Don't be that person where you let the money puff you up and you're still elementary in your character and your values. You're going to see a lot of people who lack respect, lack care for others. It's just about what they need to get to the next step. And mind you, when I say you're going to see a lot of them, it's not like they're going to be in your everyday environment. You're literally going to only be around those individuals for a few minutes. And then you're on to the next city, the next state. So don't let things bother you so much. I'll say that one thing. I say this and I'll let this video end. Don't let situations, no matter how small or how big, deal with it, hold on to it, or deal with it, but don't hold on to it. Because rest assured, there's going to be something else. And you don't want to empty your reservoir holding on to emotions off of the previous situation that you already been victorious over. Save your energy. Conserve your energy for what really needs to, what you really need it for. Like when the broker basically forgets to make an appointment and you arrive to the shipper or the customer and they tell you, oh, sorry, you don't have an appointment. Hold your energy and talk to your broker on that one, okay? So, but yeah, I'll go ahead and recap. I thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for liking, sharing, and subscribing and tuning in. I thank you guys for even clicking on my video to think that that I have something worthy enough to share. So, but to sum it up, things that you need to change or the person you need to become in order for you to get into trucking. One would be you controlling your emotions. 2, changing your perspective, having grace for others. 3 would have been, what was number 3? Preparing yourself. Talk to your family. This is not a 9-to-5 job. 4, don't let the money affect your character. I know that probably wasn't
probably said something a little bit differently, but we gonna work, we gonna roll with that. We gonna keep the show rolling.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to give you guys a glimpse of Arizona currently right now before I let this video end. The desert, but those mountains. Okay. Oh, these are a little bit better on this side. Arizona is a beautiful place, just not on the highway. So you catch some things on the highway, but right now it's not, you know, it's doing highway stuff. So, but have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Talk to y'all soon.